I spent the last few days playing through Splash Damage and Bethesda's latest shooter Brink, and I think that the emotion that best describes how I'm feeling about it is that I'm just upset. The concept, graphics, and gameplay are solid and give a strong Team Fortress 2 feel, maybe mixed in with a little Mirror's Edge. That really got me excited because I've been looking for a good TF2 replacement, but the performance and execution of the game really draw you out of the experience.
40 years ago, we started building the Ark. Back then, it was an experiment, a dream, a self-sustaining city of the future. But then the seas rose. We were forced to relocate, but still our floating Ark became a refuge for tens of thousands.
The concept of the game is that a utopian city called the Ark was built to float on the water when something goes wrong and the world becomes flooded. 20 years later, the Ark hasn't seen any new planes or boats come into the city, so they're out of supplies, and two factions of inhabitants are at each other's throats. You play the game as either the security forces trying to save the Ark, or as the resistance trying to get your ass off the Ark and figure out what's going on with the rest of the world. The concept is really neat and absolutely could be the base for an incredible story, but it isn't told well and isn't very seamless. For instance, there's a very short intro video for each faction, but they aren't played before the first mission. You have to go into the videos section and manually watch them to get a feel for what's going on. The same thing happened with the ending videos. There is a main introduction video when you first start the game that gives a high-level overview of what's going on, but then the campaign missions just start without introducing any characters or laying out any specific plots. This was very odd to me. The game felt more like a series of levels with the story tacked on as an afterthought as opposed to the opposite. It's like the developers came up with a cool concept for a story and game and then didn't build on and follow through with it. Each of the two campaigns consists of 8 levels that can take around 4 hours to complete each, and they may all be played solo or online as a co-op versus AI or versus other players. Unlike most traditional shooters where you have a distinct story campaign with separate missions and levels online, the levels and mission goals online and solo are one and the same. You can also set up free missions where you customize the parameters of the battles, and you can unlock additional content by playing through challenge missions such as a tower defense game or a parkour game. And speaking of parkour, Brink introduces us to a SMART system, or smooth movement across random terrain, which is pretty neat. By holding down the left button, your character will begin to sprint, and if he encounters an obstacle, he'll spring himself over it, climb it, slide under it, or bounce over it naturally without any controller interaction. Advanced players will use this system to their advantage by combining killing blows with their parkour. There are 4 character classes that you can play as, including a soldier who can resupply other units, buff them with armor, and throw Molotov cocktails, an engineer who can buff other units' weapon damage and build turrets and landmines, a medic who can buff other units' health and revive fallen friendlies, and an operative who can gain intel on enemy locations, sabotage enemy equipment, and disguise themselves as enemy units. The goals in each mission revolve around the various abilities of each class, and you can swap mid-game by visiting your base if you find that you don't have enough of a particular class to complete the objectives. There is a pretty extensive character creation system allowing you to fine-tune the looks of your character for each faction. As you play games, you'll earn experience, which will level you up and unlock additional abilities for the classes, as well as grant you weapon attachments and additional costumes. While the characters in the game are all some of the ugliest people I've ever seen, I really enjoyed unlocking and customizing them with the different costumes. Now, Brink certainly is not without its problems. First of all, it has some of the worst AI I've ever experienced. If you play the game solo, your partners are never where they should be, and always go for what seems like the bonus and secondary objectives first, leaving you very little or no time to actually complete the mission. Or they're dead the majority of the game. If the developers didn't want you to play the game solo, they shouldn't have offered it as an option. Some of the later levels are extremely difficult without competent partners. So if you can't play it very well solo, the next logical step would be to get some friends and play online. Except the online play is a crapshoot as to whether or not the host has a decent connection or not. The majority of the games I played were so laggy I could hardly move, let alone get a clean shot on an enemy.
Going for the supply command post.
On top of all this, Brink on the Xbox 360 suffers from some serious technical problems. While the graphics themselves are pretty good, the game suffers from some of the worst screen tearing and texture popping I've ever seen. Ever. Plus, the audio cuts out all the time. These technical problems really pull you out of the game, and that to me is a serious problem. It seems to me that Brink was released far too early. The concept is great and the game mechanics are interesting, but the game's executed extremely poorly. It is in dire need of a patch or two to remedy these serious setbacks. But despite the technical problems, the game is still fun to play, and I loved leveling up to unlock new abilities and outfits to customize my character. I can't currently recommend this game to anyone, but if it's patched and these problems are fixed, I think Brink would actually be a great game. Here's to crossing our fingers for some significant patches in the very near future. If you're interested in supporting the show, check out my sponsor Netflix at netflix.com/ZGR for a free trial membership in the US and Canada. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.